Welcome, everyone, to CannaDiva Conversations. Real talk, inspiring stories from women who are shaping the future of plant medicine. This podcast is brought to you by the CannaDiva, a community of women supporting women all along their cannabis journey. My name is Tanya Osborne, and I am your host. And on this week's episode, we have the fantastic Precious Osagie-Erese, founder of Precious Canna Co. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Now let's jump right in. Thanks for joining us. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of CannaDiva Conversations. My name is Tanya Osborne, founder of the CannaDiva, and we're super excited to have our next guest come on today. Her name is Precious Osagie-Erese. She is an entrepreneur and founder of Precious Canna Co, and we are super excited to have her with us today. We're going to bring her on. Hello, lovely. How are you?
Hello, Tanya. Thank you so much for having me on CannaDiva Conversations. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you said yes, because I think you are an amazing CannaDiva, and really just excited to introduce the world. I mean, we're just going to introduce you to the world.
Let's do it.
And all the wonderful stuff. So I know we have your bio and we're going to add it, but I wanted you to just give us a brief intro to Precious.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you again. Hi, everybody. I'm Precious Osagie-Erese, and I'm the founder and CEO of Precious Canna Co. It was the first Black woman-owned pre-roll brand to launch in the state of New Jersey. I came into cannabis in a very unorthodox way. I think most people's journeys have that unorthodox story. Like, you didn't just wake up and say, I'm going to start a career in cannabis. But before, I was a practicing journalist, and I really wanted to make my impact on the world through news and media, and create stories, and rather tell the stories that showcase the lived experiences of Black and Brown people. And for me, the connecting dots was cannabis advocacy. When I learned that New Jersey was going to legalize back in 2020, I just started to do a lot of my work in graduate school in journalism on cannabis legalization. And it really connected back to all the things we know: prison pipeline system, the war on drugs. And that really piqued my interest. I'm like, there's no way there's this multi-million billion-dollar industry happening, and yet all this information and truth lives around this plant. So I really started to try to merge both my passions of, media, news, advocacy, activism, and just kind of launched myself in the cannabis industry. And since then, you can say I've kind of found my way around multiple areas. I know so many people because I was just so curious. The curiosity got me. I started joining advocacy groups like the Cannabis Business Association, where I served as their communications director, bringing in, again, my background in comms and journalism. I founded my first company with my best friend, Tanya Osborne, which was called Roll Up Life Inc., which was a cannabis CBD delivery company that also navigated the adult use space in New Jersey through licensing, looking to be delivery and dispensary. I've worked on the lobbying side because I was like, wait, none of this will make sense without the right policies to support us. So I worked as the senior DEI advisor for the National Cannabis Roundtable, really trying to understand what policies will support both small and minority operators when it comes to federal policy. Like, if legalization happened, what did that mean for us?
Right.
Dabbled in all these spaces, which kind of really led me to build my brand in a way that pulled from all of these experiences. It pulled from my journalism experience. It pulled from my advocacy experience. And then it pulled from my policy experience. I'm like, okay, here's how we can build a business that showcases, number one, Black women can be represented in cannabis. And number two, there's a pathway to real growth, scalability. And three, we can really rewrite what this plant means to people and the skills around it. And yeah, that's how.
Amazing. So would you say that, because you've done so many things in cannabis, because policy is really different, all involved, but different from entrepreneurship. What do you, and then the general curiosity, what do you think it was that was the okay, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm gonna do?
It kind of all tied in, right? A
Yeah.
lot of us in the cannabis industry, we're having the same issues, big or small, when it comes to business, at least, right? And even when it comes to advocacy, we're not seeing the change we want to see come down from federal policy and relates to people who are currently incarcerated for nonviolent cannabis crimes. We're not seeing the policy come down from the federal side for businesses that want to grow, expand, find funding. You know, the biggest thing that's banking. So as a business operator, you're kind of stifled. As an advocate, you're kind of stifled. So to me, there just felt like there was this connectivity that needed to always exist between policy, advocacy, and entrepreneurship.
And so, it's a perfect mix.
It is
about it, because everything's connected. But and I'm sure you would agree, a lot of times entrepreneurship is your focus. So the other stuff just. So I commend you for being able to navigate all three well. You know, I usually lean on the folks at like NCR for stuff like that. And that's a big deal. So how did you feel like your career in journalism? Because you're a journalism major, correct?
Yeah.
So you currently have a pre-roll company, right? How do you think like all of that transitioned? Because I'm sure we have a couple of journalism majors who kind of cannabis never even popped into their brain.
Yeah. Honestly, it feels like my secret weapon. It feels like my cheat code being from the journalism world and communications world, because I knew how to tell my story, right? I knew how to tell my story in different formats, different medias, different platforms. And one of the biggest things around businesses, specifically in cannabis, like you need to kind of put yourself out there for people to know you exist, because there's a lot of resistance on the media front when it comes to cannabis for several reasons. But having that journalism background, having that network of fellow journalists that I went to school with at Columbia J School and say, hey, here's this story. I'm pitching myself. I'm doing these things. This has huge magnitude. This has impact, and getting it published. It just really helped for me to control the narrative that I had. And being able to control my narrative was me being able to like tell the truth to an experience that like, this is not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
Tell you join the cannabis industry. When they speak of generational wealth, when they speak of licensing, I wanted to show, no, here's what I'm documenting as a true experience for a business owner, for a Black woman being a business owner. And I'm able to write my own press releases. I'm able to pitch my own stories. I'm able to curate what my marketing looks like. And those are skills that like I was trained in formally. And even with speaking and presenting and pitching, like I was also on air sometimes when I was a practicing journalist, and I won several oratorical competitions. So being able to go up there and pitch in front of investors didn't come from because I studied all my numbers. Like I just, I've gained the confidence in like really talking my stuff to be
a really big deal. Like when you mentioned telling your story, as a brand owner, that is a challenge. Because I always am, what is the story? Like if you were telling someone, you know, as a business owner, that you have to write your story, what does that really mean? Is that too broad of a question?
No, it's not. And it's definitely, what's funny is that journalism as a skill teaches you take a very broad situation and you have to tailor it down to like a sentence or two, right? Because that's what we do when we put out newscasts or when we're writing something. We take a long news article and we have to report back just the most important facts about it. So but I believe everyone can do it, where you look high level. What's going on with my business? What am I trying to do? And then you pull the messaging that's important. So for me, I'm a Black woman looking to create space for other Black women to enjoy cannabis. I want to do it in a way that feels authentic and luxurious and speaks to our lived experiences. I also want to be a business owner, paving the way, doing something that no other Black woman has done specifically yet in my state. So all of these are like important pinpoints that kind of showcase, number one, who I am, what I want to do, what my brand wants to achieve, and how we're doing it. So it takes time. And I tell people in business and entrepreneurship, there's also a practice of being an entrepreneur. It's not just the waking up, getting up, grinding emails, this. you practice your business in terms of like explaining it to other people, reminding yourself of your own ethos. Like, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it should live so freshly and so clearly in your mind that you can spit it whichever way. And I think that's one of the ways you can take it from being so broad and then just list out that elevator pitch for what your business is, what your
That was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I mean,
that was wonderful. I'm like, that's an event. We're gonna do an event. I'm telling you a story of that's wonderful.
Talk your stuff and do it in a very unapologetic, confident way. I can't speak enough about confidence when you're
and that is a learned skill sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I mean, I've been public speaking for a very long time, but I probably really stunk at it when I first started.
Yeah,
you know, so it is a learned skill, and I know it terrifies.
Yeah, it still does for me too. I just came off an amazing talk for the Women Grow. Shout out to Women Grow.
Yes.
Out in Maryland, and it was kind of like TED Talk style. You just got up there and you had a time and you just kind of like gave people what your tidbit was. But even with that, you still get nervous. But I think the important thing is, again, it's practice. I tell all entrepreneurs, you're not just doing, you also have to be a student of the game, right? So practice all the things you need to be a great business owner.
Fantastic. Thank you. So you mention often, and as we both are Black women in cannabis, what are some of the unique challenges that you have experienced in this industry?
Oh man, do we have?
Let me get my list. Hold on a second.
Let me get my list. It's just in totality. It is really, I don't even know the word, but the way Black women are just underrepresented, underestimated with our ability and, our visions, under-resourced. You're literally punching up at every turn, right? You have to, you're the women that I've seen in cannabis, from you, from other women who've been super successful. Like, I know you all had to like fight to create the space. There wasn't the space there. We were creating and muscling space. And that's what Black women, I think, do in general, right? In our lives. Like, where's the rest when we're always fighting and creating? But one thing that really stuck out to me was that, like, the stigma around Black women and consuming cannabis was like really big. I even remember, and I tell this story often, where like there was a time I didn't like people to know that I consumed. Meanwhile, those in my inner circle knew what to bring me as a Christmas gift, as a birthday gift. Right? But like the minute I felt like I was putting it out there, I felt like there would be this, oh, she's unprofessional. Oh, she may not, she may do this all the time. Just all of these stigmas and this was like maybe, 8-9 years ago. I was feeling like, let me hide all my stuff away.
You're not even incorrect. That myself, when I first joined Women Grow, people would ask me what I would do, and I'd be like, working cannabis.
Right. You whisper it.
And they'd be like, what? And I'm like, shh. I get it. And I had family stigma. I don't know about your family. My family's Caribbean. So it was layer on layer on layer of challenges.
My family's Nigerian, and I just, for the love of me, was like, I just want to be myself. I want to shout from the mountaintops of how great this plant is, what it helps me with, how I'm consuming. I've learned so much about me, my body, my endocannabinoid system, what I need, and it's really a game changer in terms of wellness. But the fact that I had to like kind of hide all of that, or felt like I was doing something naughty because I consumed, was where I really wanted to rewrite the narrative, right? So when I looked at Black women and I walked into a dispensary, I didn't even see us. Like, we didn't have any level of representation in terms of like, well, what do I want to consume? Is it like, where would my wellness journey start? Because companies at the time, I don't think really, it's just so broad. People, it was like, buy cannabis and folks will come. No, you need to tailor it to speak to certain folks, because there are folks with you and I with this stigma that can't find this level of comfort at a certain time. And trust and believe, there are many more women still in that space that we were in.
Yes.
So when I created my brand, I said, oh, this is going to be something lovely, right? This is going to be something where on the outside, it may not look like cannabis. It may not say it right then and there, but when you open it, it is. It gives you that experience of feeling like.
I love your packaging too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put up a picture. Oh, you have one. Okay, fantastic.
Around. Yeah, I'm gonna open one up for you guys. But this is my packaging here. So when you get this from a dispensary, I really created it because I said to myself, I want to stop putting things in my little naughty closet up there. Let me just leave this on my bookshelf. Like, let me just have this
sit out on your desk.
Sit out on my desk. And it's a conversation piece, you know, it really speaks to that of what I think women look to. And we're thinking about a little daintiness, you know, a little bit of luxury. I just wanted to merge those worlds. So let the eye catch first, and then you open it. And oh, it's 3 joints in here. It's a party now, right?
That it is.
And
I love it. I love it.
Such fulfilling work because I just get the amazing feedback and comments. And like for a while, cannabis did not make me smile. We all know the rough bumps. And
I understand that.
Comes with it, but since the brand, I've been smiling so big, and it'll literally.
How many stores are you in now?
We're in about 60, 65 dispensaries in New Jersey. So that even makes, like, when I say it, I blush at myself. It's been
talking about me,
right? It's been insane. I can't believe it. Like I cannot believe it.
I am so excited for you. So, like, I guess my next question, because I was going to ask, with the challenges that you've encountered, the joy you're sharing right now kind of makes me figure out that you figured out some way to like kind of go through it. What would that be?
Literally, you this joy you're seeing is really coming from community, because for those who know some of my story, like I got kicked in the teeth with cannabis, right? You know, they told me do all the things, you know, advocate, we did that, you know, raise money, you do that, find properties, we did that, find investors, work with city officials, learn the politics, you do all of that, and then you still get told no. This is not for you. This is not your opportunity, whatever the case is, even though you've done the steps. When people in cannabis, people in entrepreneurship in general, we are operating in a very risky situation. You putting up your sometimes life savings. Sometimes you're operating without health insurance. Sometimes you're operating without a bunch of support, but really because you're following vision, right? So when you have this big grand vision and it gets shot up left or right, it's enough to really take you out. But for me, when that happened, when that moment for me happened in cannabis, I had people all over the country reach out to me, like women, guys, Black women, just so many people poured into me. It was like, we saw how you kicked the door down for more of us to be involved. And yes, we see you down, but we know that you can do more. We know you will find another footing. We know you will do this. And I kid you not, Tanya, I was ready to exit stage left of cannabis, just revert. You know, I got me a good little degree. We're going to go back and activate it, you know, give me a little entry level. I can still work my way up. But literally, and I remember even getting a voice note from someone I didn't know out in Colorado. It was just like, hey, I heard your story. Like, please know I support you, everything you're doing. And it was in that moment I started to say to myself, okay, well, people see something in me, right? Or see something in me. And it'll also be crazy to lead all these people into the industry or fight so hard to say, Black people, Black women, where are you? We need to take our space here. And then the minute something goes left, I'm exiting. It just didn't feel genuine for me. So I started to then
really for you, because that is a level of responsibility that you took on, which is, in my opinion, very commendable, because I have seen many people be like, oh, this got really hard and I can't take it and I gotta go. So I just want to like also commend you for, that's a level of responsibility that you did not have to take on.
I appreciate you saying that, because truly I didn't, but it just, I couldn't fathom having been out here on people's screens, people's TVs, people, all of that, chanting like, get in here, we're going to build wealth, we need to work together. And the minute something like that, you know, the minute you don't get what you really plan for, and which is what I preach now, when you're in cannabis, prepare to take your plan, rip it up, burn it, throw it down the hole, because
it's an evolving plan.
Right, exactly. You gotta have to rewrite that plan. And essentially that's what I did. I said, okay, there has to be another way to enter this industry something that speaks more to my community. Let's stop all of let's doing what everybody else is telling you to do.
Right.
Where does disruption really happen when you think outside the box? And that's where it hit me. Like, I walked into the dispensaries, I didn't see nothing that connected to me. I started to investigate, well, how do you build this brand? Like, how do I get on this shelf? So
right.
Go in and say, oh, this is Black owned. Oh, this is woman owned. Oh, this is, equity owned, and build from there. So like I said, I think, trial morphed into triumph only because I decided to keep going. Okay. So you talk about like challenges, major one. Business challenges, oh man, there, left, right, front, and center. And that takes just pure entrepreneur grit. Like if you have a vision, and I tell people,
yes. So determination.
Yeah, sheer determination is the definition of entrepreneurship, right? In the beginning.
Yes, it is.
Sheer, not just determination, sheer determination.
Literally.
Is the definition of it. Because then after that, you just solve a problem. It's step by step. I think people look at it too broad. Like step 1, build the concept. Step 2, write the plan out. Step 3, like after you finish one, you're gonna have to go do the next thing. Yeah. So just keep that.
And there are many steps. So you have to kind of enter understanding. In any industry, though, not just in cannabis, there are always many steps.
Yes.
And it's step by step,
And some steps get you to the beginning. Like I would say everything I experienced had been steps that just got me to the beginning of the game, right? Not even. And
I won't even argue with you, because I think I received a processor license here in New York State, and I'm like, okay, well, I've been here a long time. I guess we got to start getting to work now.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What do you mean?
What you've been doing these last 10 years, right? Working. But now the work.
Yes. And it's different work, but it's work nonetheless, So on this path of sheer determination, right?
Yeah.
Who inspires you? Do you have mentors? You need to call your mama. Like who keeps you going, or what keeps you going?
Honestly, I feel like I have this network. I call them my Canna godmothers, right? Outside of my mama, love you, mama. But from all the days that I've worked, like I remember just connecting with some amazing, powerful women in cannabis when I first joined in. Like I remember my first call was probably to Dr. Shonda Macias.
Yes, okay.
I found out that she went to Howard, and I said, "Oh, by Howard convention, she has to impart in me all the wisdom in her brain about cannabis into mine." And then I meet folks like Araz McCarthy, Khadijah Tribble. I work with the Amber Littlejohn at MCBA. I work with a Jessica Velazquez. I work with a Gia Moran. I work with a Safira Galoob. I work with a Deshita Dawson with the Toast.
Yeah, like these are leaders after leaders after leaders in our
literally. Yeah. And these are women that just continue to say, I would call them like people I've called in real devastating issues, like I don't know what to do. And I know my doggy back there. I don't know what to do. And all they did was come out and support. So I've called them like my Canna godmothers, including you, Tanya. You have been there for me for a very long time with Women Grow, right? Yep. You guys actually sent me to Benzinga one time.
Yes. I remember that.
I said, I cannot afford the tickets, but Women Grow had the scholarships.
Yeah.
So things like that, I don't think people realize were incredibly significant in just my trajectory to get to where I am, because it just continued to expose me, right? And I'm collecting these Canna godmothers as mentors. So,
and all of those women that you mentioned, leaders in their own right, but do different things.
Yeah.
So that's like an attribution to your full roundedness.
Yeah, and it just was in the places I lived, in the advocacy space, then in the operations space, then in the lobbying space, right? I just gravitated to powerful women who were, sometimes in the lane of their own.
100%.
In the lane of their own. And I just said to myself, well, this is the place. And what I'm
rocking with these ladies right now.
And it wasn't even a pay it forward. Like they had no reason to impart the type of wisdom and support they had for me. It was honestly out of true mentorship and wanting to see more people do it. And that's why I also do it as well. Like it was incredible. So shout out to everybody I mentioned, and then some more. If I didn't,
yes, of course,
my heart. but it's just so many Canna godmothers I got.
I love that. So as a founder and a leader in the space, we talked about like always a lot going on, and finding that, balance, that word. How are you able to juggle, if that's the right word, business stuff and personal stuff, and keeping your head clear? Like, what's your strategy for that?
Oh, thank you for that question, because it rarely gets asked, and it can get bad sometimes for entrepreneurs, mentally, health-wise. We don't get to talk about it because we're just expected to like go. There was a time, I think it was like 2021, after pandemic stuff happened and like the conference scene was back on.
Yes.
And oh man, I was ripping and running. There was no conference that year, and even 2022, I didn't go to attend, speak. I think I was in Vegas 4 times between the span of like September and December. Remember, that's when we used to have the cannabis conference, MJ Biz. And cannabis, we like to go to dinner, okay? We like a nice little steak dinner. I can't.
Yes.
Like, this cholesterol is through the roof for someone your age, and this is not okay. This is not okay. So that actually made things very serious for me. Like, as much as you feel driven and passionate about it, I now just encourage, especially women, like, you have to tap in with yourself. It can't be at the expense of your health, right?
100%.
It was my first wake up call that, like, yes, you can work hard. It's a beautiful thing to be driven and have vision, but it can't be at the expense of you not taking care of yourself. And that's where I really started to like be very intentional. Like,
yes,
where am I going? What am I trying to get out of here? Who am I meeting? Right. And then again, we're working with a plant that's about wellness. That really started my journey. Mind you, I talk about advocacy. I talk about entrepreneurship. I talk about lobbying. I seldom mentioned wellness, right? Which is why we should even be having conversations.
Yes, 100%.
Dive in. I started to study and learn the plant and learn about the different terpenes and learn about learn about my endocannabinoid system. Went to a doctor to talk about it, to see how I can actually use this plant that I'm so hustling for, I'm fighting for, to actually help me. And then I actually had to implement boundaries, like, for myself. Like,
speak about that.
If the email come in at 10 p.m., it's going to be there at 7 a.m. when I start, right? And I actually had my family really pour into me, and they saw me working so hard and just feeling so tired all the time. Granted, results were there.
Yes.
With me. So I definitely tell people, like, listen to yourself, listen to your body. As an entrepreneur, like, the world will tell you got to wake up and fight and do it every single day. But when you don't have, when you can take a moment, like, take that moment.
Please take it. I mean, do you do like yoga? Do you meditate? Do you just make sure that you have that boundary of time where you don't work past certain things? Like, what are your strategies?
Idle time, like, especially after 6 p.m. if it's like non-emergency. I love my little 6 to like 9:30 idle time, where I can either cook, I can read a fiction. I've been diving into fiction. Just take my mind to a different universe. I don't even want to be in the American universe right now.
You gotta come into our virtual space, the collective. We have book night.
Listen,
and we don't tell you what to read. It's called Silent Book Club. We burn and then we book, and then you share what you read, what book you're reading. So
things like that, I would love it. I work out in the mornings. It helps kind of clear my mind. Y'all hear my doggy right there. So I take nice long walks, especially when it gets warm. And honestly, I'm still in that learning phase of what actually I like to do that can calm the spirits.
And
like,
that's reasonable.
Fill my cup. So I can't fill other cups if I'm always, empty. So I'm grabbing my nuggets right now, but please believe I smoke my own product. I'd be like, oh,
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I can't wait to get to New Jersey so I can go pick up a pack.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to be out there soon because I have to I'm going to try and do some workout in Jersey this year.
Let us know. Come on through. Bring the New York flavor to Jersey. We
definitely should do that.
Activated.
Okay, so how do you see our lovely cannabis industry evolving in the future, like 5 to 10 years, in general, and specifically for women of color or Black and brown people?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it actually has been getting foggy for me to really see what the next 5 to 10 years in cannabis looks like, because I'm in different rooms and I see things with multiple lenses that builds a broad picture for me in terms of like the real life sustainability of industry in general, right? We are operating two hands behind our back, eyes blindfolded, and that's just across the board, no matter what you look like. So now you add, some of those things we mentioned, being a Black woman, you might as well just like, what do we actually see? So I am an optimist. Jean Sullivan, shout out to her. I was with her recently, and she reminded me that like I just live in this optimistic world. I'm gonna bring that optimism here. I truly do believe that there could be an opportunity for us to see some federal movement to support our industry. While it may not be now, may not be in this administration, the industry has gotten too big to kind of put the genie back in the bottle.
100%. I agree with that.
Put the genie back in the bottle. We have industries launching internationally. We have new paths being driven, state by state is launching. So that momentum is enough where something will happen. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take, a united front on cannabis. But that enough should let you know that if you are actively building in cannabis right now, the best thing you can do for that 5 to 10 year maintenance is just pure strategy.
Yes.
Do not rely on the hoopla, the propaganda. This is going back to that storytelling, knowing your why. Why are you doing this, right?
Yeah.
And I've been doing something called incremental scale. Don't look around and see what everybody's doing, because cannabis is fast rise, fast fall.
Woo! And sometimes social media for me distracts me, because I'm like, everything looks gorgeous, and then you give yourself this false, I don't know what, like you think everything's better than it is, and it just really looks really good on social media.
It looks good. Even for me, I'll be super transparent with you guys. I love how my brand is received. People love it. Oh, you're in dispensary, you're in 60. I felt like I was a month or two away from not even having a business if I wasn't able to find a small amount of capital to support me for my operations.
Fair.
Right? Like, it's really, you get into vulnerable positions in cannabis when you can't deduct your taxes, right? You have to pay your employees. You have to maintain relationships with vendors. People transition in and out of cannabis all the time.
Very much so.
And you're operating in a very limited way of marketing, sharing, telling who you are, acquiring customers. Everything you do is unconventional. So back to incremental scale, I've really used all that knowledge, all the things I've been to, and said, this is not for, you talk about generational wealth, doing all of this, being super successful. It doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a year. Not. It doesn't even happen in 2. But you can set yourself up for long-time success by slowly building out. You're launching a brand in one state, dominate that state. Understand what the people there want to know. Build in there before trying to launch in 3-4 other states and then stretching yourself, because you're just going to replicate the issues. Okay.
Literally. Yes. That makes 100% sense. Yes.
And resources are very, very limited right now, not just for small operators, even larger operators. Right. And you still have to compete in this marketplace. So I always like for folks to put on the strategy hat. Like, yes, we love this plant. Yes, we love the vibe. Yes, we all everything. But there should be no more assumptions about what you think your business can do. You should know what your business, your goal, whatever it is going to do for the next 5 years in a very sustainable way. Because again, I am of the belief.
Is that the increment 5 years, or is it when you say incremental growth, what are you looking for? Like what?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It depends on you and where you are in business. Like for me, my incremental growth when I launched, I said, I only want to be in 20 dispensaries. First 10, maybe even 20. People want to launch. And I even remember saying it to myself when I was in like the business building side, the business planning side, like, oh, New Jersey has about 100 dispensaries. Day one, we need to be in all 100. Then like, that's usually the mindset.
Yes. Okay.
I can only imagine. It's like having 100. It's like having 60 children now.
Right? No, it's true because you got to service all your stores.
You got to service your stores. You got to
Inventory.
be a partner. I'm a small business owner. My team is like a team of 3 on a good day, right? And so when I started to really imagine, I said, well, let's just start to learn. Like, we've never done this before. Let's launch in 10 dispensaries. Let's understand what their ordering mechanisms will be. How much will they often? Let me work with my cultivation partner. Say, you know what? I know you can give me this big allotment, but give me this small allotment. Let me prove to myself that I can actually sell it, right? Let me prove to myself that there's actually demand.
Instead of the stress of having a large amount of wholesale somewhere waiting for you to place it.
Exactly. Like, let me go out and build demand. Let me go out there. I work in scarcity. Okay. Like, let me go out there and build demand, find people who would look at my product and say, this is something there. Let them come and leave them rather say, oh, it's not here yet. It's coming. Oh, now I'm ready. Right. Now I'm ready to grow from them 10 dispensaries to that 20 dispensaries.
Yes.
I'm now able to do I can do an event and, get more people involved. I can now hire more, right, to kind of like help me stabilize. And in watching that incremental growth, I can set myself up to say, okay, what is my next growth pattern?
Yes.
And now, instead of just shooting to that straight 100, you're trying to manage everything. You're wobbling. And then, because what happens in cannabis, just like any other business, sometimes you get one or maybe 2 good shots to take a swing with partners before they feel like, you know what? And I've had that experience. I launched with a large partner who made a large order, and because my ducks weren't still in a row, and I was like, I wasn't ready to launch with that large partner at the time, but I just felt like it'll let the world know who I am, okay? And it was a shit show, and it wasn't for lack of trying. Right. I wasn't prepared then, so that relationship was disrupted. I've had to work hard to build new relationships and say, so that was like a learning lesson. So that, again, fast rise, fast fall. Now I'm ready after working with 60 independent operators, seeing, their needs. I can work with a big shop now and say, okay, I know you move a lot quicker. Here's how a small brand like me can play. And then I think about my longer game. Okay, when will I be ready? And I've asked my network this, I've asked investors, I asked everybody that listen, when would I be ready to jump states? Because now I'm excited, right? Jersey movement. We got a little consistency. And I actually had to catch myself and say, oops, small business. Remember that? Small business. Emphasis on small, right? And let's go back and create what milestones would make you feel comfortable launching in a state. Is it a certain number, profit level that you need to reach? That you all should consider if you're business owners. I love how we talk and dance around like, oh, yes, we have businesses. What are your numbers telling you, right? That let the numbers talk to you before you end up spending money that you don't have. And people say words like investments and loans and all that stuff willy-nilly. You have to pay this money back, okay?
Listen, I just took a course. Me and Kimber took a course around, and like a one-on-one on fundraising. I come from a financial sales background, so I understood more. Understood is let's take that loosely. I've heard the words before. Yeah. Kimber, at the end of day 1, she was like, I don't never want to go back. No, we have to go back. We have to finish. But it is a foreign, and she is a marketing genius.
Yes.
But it's a lot to learn.
It's a lot to learn. Even me, I'm a writer. I love stories. I love poetry. Words in my mind dance around just so beautifully. Numbers used to terrify me, but I had to put my big girl pants on, right?
Yeah.
To learn exactly like my income statements, my cash flows, my operating expenses, my budgets, my ratios, my margins, like things that makes you a good business owner. So like I said, that incremental scale, what are my numbers telling me that would make sense for growth? What is my marketing and my strategy for that growth? Would this align? And then again, you just start to plant those seeds, plant those pieces. Right. So you're never too far ahead. And I just think that's the game in cannabis. So again, we think about 5-10 years. I'm super optimistic.
Yes.
And people who are build for that sustainability. Don't build for right now, right? Build for what.
That is a great point, because now it's crazy.
Now it's crazy. The crazy folks, you're gonna see what the crazy folks are gonna do as crazy does, right?
Yeah.
And even if that means you feel like, and I look at other brands, it's hard. It's hard to not compare yourself and
It's
be
hard
like,
not to.
I could be there, I could be doing this, I could be doing, and I just remember I'd say small business. Right? Small business owner, you will get there, right? You will garner resources. You will grow when the time is ready.
Are you still fundraising?
I am still
Okay.
fundraising. Fundraising is an interesting dynamic currently in cannabis. Just even how you're raising right now, like it was, trust me, raising was different. You're looking at someone who, for their first project, raised $2.5 million, probably in a span of,
Wow.
I would say 6 months, 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
That like 6 to 8 months. Like by the time deal was papered, everything was ready to go. Different time, it felt like. But something they also don't tell you, cannabis is a game of markets and speed, just like any other industry, right? Like the opportunity is at the beginning of the market, right? The opportunity is when you can show up there and be like, oh, ain't nobody else here. You know?
Yeah.
So there's a slight game of speed that I think folks should consider when entering cannabis and just looking at the market. What is the market telling you? Are there already 600 processors? What's going to make you so different? Are there already 600?
Yes.
What's going to make you so different? And how can you raise money and show an investor that you're going to be more successful than everybody else? And you'll see everybody that you talk to is still kind of like struggling. There's only a handful that are pulling apart.
That's very true. Even in New York, that is very, very true.
Exactly. So investing definitely is shifted, you know, as markets shift. It's like as the we go where's the newness? Like Maryland is pretty new, Ohio is pretty new, Florida, God bless their heart, if they would have went recreational, would have been like
yeah. That would have been crazy.
You all would have been on the beach like, oh, you live here too?
They got like 900,000 medical patients.
Exactly. So like, you know, you see what large companies like Trulieve are investing in down there. And,
yes.
So investing is, or working with investors, raising money, it's not a catch-22 like people think it is. There is a method to it. You just have to be aware. Like investors like aware people. You can't really be a pre-revenue business asking for $5 million, right? Like it's not tech, okay? It's not right.
And I think you need, like you said before, you need to really know how to have those conversations with those investors. And that is something that I have to learn too. So, and it's work, you know, but like you say, you got to put your big girl panties on and let's go.
Let's go.
Some new stuff, you know.
It's doable. Like in most of my talks, I like to remind people that like it's doable though, right? There is an investor out there for you if you practice that pitch, if you learn numbers, if you get it together. There's multiple ways to skin a cat. There's multiple vehicles to secure investment. It's not always that straight up equity deal. You like one thing I've learned, and shout out to the lawyers of the world. If I could have gone to law school and add that as a secret weapon, that probably, you know, because you can really structure deals. It's all creative deal making.
Yeah.
Not everything is so black and white. Like you can get creative where both parties can find ways to the end goal, right? In unconventional ways. And that's been something I found super resourceful in raising money. You're taking loan options and stuff, or convertible notes, which I love because they set milestones, right?
That was one of the things we were learning in our class. And I was like, okay, now.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, you know, to understand the intricacies of being an investor and receiving investor money, you know, and one of the things that the person who taught the class said, she goes, once you receive, and this really she said, once you receive your first investment or your first chunk of money, you are officially a money manager.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And she, you know, you are now managing the monies of this person or company that gave you money, and you're responsible for that, you know, and you're responsible in how it's, you know, spent and so on and so forth. And you'll have to give updates and all this wonderful stuff. So I was like, okay. And just that mindset of shifting to like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm managing this money, obviously my own income and my revenue, but also this investor money that I was given, you know, you have that fiduciary responsibility to your investors as well.
Exactly. Exactly. You protect it. You protect it because again, you have to find a way to pay that back because that's how businesses default. That's how things get a little spooky after a while when you haven't given your investors updates. You just call them one day and say there's no more money. Like it's not a thing. It's hard conversations. Trust me. Sometimes I've had hard conversations with investors like, okay, this did not go the way we thought and we spent this much, but here's a new plan. And I remember that also, like this is a part of business, right? Like when you separate some of the feelings from it and everything, you want to do what's best for your overall vision. And if someone invested in you, that means that they believe in your overall vision.
Exactly.
I come back.
That's why having the right partners would be important.
Very important.
Yeah. Okay. Because you're so amazing and we can clearly
we can chat all the time
for a long time. So there's a woman somewhere who wants to enter the space.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them? Like really, like not necessarily like financial, but like what mindset advice? So I've been having this conversation with some of the people on my team about mindset. Like what do you need to be thinking about?
Oh, that's a great question too. Mindset advice. You're gonna have to turn into a beast. Like you're gonna have to step outside of yourself. This and you have to ask yourself if is that who you can be on a consistent basis, especially if you're a mom, especially if you're a partner, especially you have so much other things going on in your life, and especially if you're deciding to go all in on this, which is another beast in and of itself. I tell people keep your jobs, but
listen,
like build this on the side until you might want to hold on to that good health.
You should. I think your job can fund your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't jump ship until you really, really have to.
Yeah.
And so like you leverage your journalism skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the other skill sets of your interests and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
How can someone, like, what are some ideal transferable skills that someone can take advantage of if they have here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you end up being all the things. I actually did a post on LinkedIn the other day saying, well, you're looking at the website designer for Precious Canna Co now, okay? Because I can't afford to have all of these expenses when I'm trying to like still build and do many things. So not only are you going to have transferable skills, whether you were in marketing, communications, finance, all of that, whatever you've originally studied or done, easily anything. And we've said this before, there's really nothing that you are doing that can't transfer into cannabis.
I agree.
Like
I agree. I came from sales.
That work, right? Sales. Oh my gosh. Shout out to salespeople. Like another hat I'm wearing. Like just the aggressiveness and like the getting right to it, making sure you're closing on the sale. That's how you conduct business. Ooh. Anyway, new skill set, but not just transferable skills. You have to go out and create skills and learn skills that can adapt and assist you because you're not going to be able to afford everything. You're not going to be able to afford the big marketing agencies. You're not going to be able to afford the big PR agencies. You're not going to be able to afford the financial gurus to do your income statements every month and look through all your stuff or whatever the case is. Like lawyers, legal, you're not going to be able to afford tens of thousands of dollars of legal fees. You will need lawyers.
You will.
You won't need them as much if you know how to read legal documents yourself. So I say this to say, on top of the transferable skills from whatever you bring, whether it's writing, storytelling, financials, and you can do that for the business, make sure you can do every other single thing, right? Make sure you can do your social media and schedule out posts to go out. Make sure you can design. Canva got a free situation, okay? Get them templates in.
Canva has made me a media genius.
The genius.
I am a media like extraordinaire from Canva.
I mean, look at us. Look at where we at now. Look at where we are, okay?
Canva. And honestly, I was telling this to someone else. another entrepreneur. I'm going to find somebody to do my, and I'm like, at one point, I'm like, when are you going to learn to do anything in your business?
Do it. You have to.
Because when that person's not there, guess who has to do it?
Exactly. And when the funds are not there to pay people,
oh, no. 100%.
Okay, so be prepared. Do not find it intimidating, or do not find like, oh, I can't do this as a stopgap to whatever it is you have to do. Because then most of what you want to do would be dead in the water. Because there's going to be a lot that you did not know how to do, but you have to learn it.
When
you have
to learn
to
it. Oh, it feels good.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, system breakdown. Oh, IT hat. Oh, new sales hat. Oh, we need a little design. But then when you get to a place where, you know, I'm generating revenue now, I can outsource that. And trust me, that will be one of the best, sexiest feelings you will ever have as an entrepreneur. When you've done all the things and now you're generating income where you can pay somebody to do it. Trust me, it's worth the feeling to do it. It feels good, you know? Because then there's a whole part of your brain you are taking back to apply to something else, right?
100%.
That's how you build business. That's how you can then grow and incrementally scale your business, because you got part of your brain back. Now you can apply it to your growth strategy and move on from there. So trust us. If you're listening to this, trust us. This is the sauce.
It feels good. You get this. You got this. Okay, some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Are you an early bird or are you a night owl?
What do you call it in the middle? I'm a middler. I'm a middler.
Okay, I'm in the middle. I'm right on time.
My day work-wise, like at 10, I rarely schedule a meeting before 10.
Okay.
I like to end my day around like 7. Like I'm one of those, like I'm optimal while the sun is out.
You know, I feel that
a little bit as it's going down. Like it just gives me this full trajectory of this. And like my mornings and nights can be either chaotic or uneventful if needed. I'm not like resting on those to add, but I've started to use my mornings between that like 7 and 10 o'clock to be like intentional with myself. So that's where we talk about that self-care and everything like that. And then again, that 7 to like 9:30 before I go to bed, maybe 10. And now I have like that idle time where I can like turn the brain off. So I'm like a middler.
I love it. You get everything done. You get everything done.
I'm just like, catch me up and at it doing it.
And that's the best thing about self-employment or being your own boss in that respect, is if you are an early bird, be one. If you're a late owl, be one. You know, if you're a middler, be one. You know,
because my best friend Tanya, when we were building Roll Up Life, he was a night owl. He called me at 3 a.m. like, oh, can you read this investment letter? I said, Tanya,
go to bed.
And he's not burning the midnight oil. It's not midnight oil. Like, this is 3 a.m. And it was funny because we just kind of like jigsawed. Like, then
that means you're always working 24 hours, kind of, you know?
Exactly. So again, to each his own, but yeah, that's what I like.
What's your favorite strain? Do you have one?
Oh, actually, a favorite strain of mine would be Orange Push Pop from Clade 9, which is the co-packers I use here in Jersey. And what I love about them is that they were just some dope growers. Like, you know, shout out to Dave Holmes. Like when he created Clade 9, he just had a level of genius that was untapped when it comes to genetics and cannabis. And I actually tried Clade a long time ago before they even came to Jersey. And I was like, you know, OPP was just super smooth. It had this like very hybrid charge to it. Like hints of sativa there that just kept you up. And but like also it had this potency that like didn't feel like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do nothing for the rest of the day. Just the potency that like you really want THC to have for you. That's like, oh, this is going through the body. Okay? Like I am
full ECS. The full ECS.
Yes. So shout out to Clay 9 and Orange Push Pop is my favorite.
I love it. And if you could have dinner with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh, you know what? This is gonna be crazy. This is gonna sound crazy. I would have dinner with Miss Whitney Houston.
Okay. A big fan?
I am a fan. Whitney Houston is actually from my area, East Orange, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. So there's a school named after here, Whitney Houston. And I get so moved by her music when I listen to Whitney. Her voice to me is a different type of serenade, like for anything, happy, sadness.
Yeah.
And she lived an eventful life. I would really want to meet with her because across the street from my parents' house where I grew up, there was a lady, Miss Rose, sadly passed away not too long ago, but she was Whitney Houston's seamstress. And she would tell me these incredible stories of their tours in Egypt, sold out tours in China, and how when she would sing in full arenas, you could hear a pin drop from just how it is. So I would love to learn, just coming from the same area, like, you know, also being super ambitious, super talented.
Yes.
If she thought this is where she wanted to be and like decisions she would have made. And I watched, of course, her biopics and stuff like that. I just think, of course, it was a great talent lost too soon to too many things, but in her prime, and you watch someone that gifted with that much passion, it's hard to not want to get to know their mind a little bit and know.
Wow. I never even thought about it like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
I would love.
And last but not least, do you have a guilty pleasure TV show or anything like that? Like when you want to waste time.
Yes, a guilty pleasure. Actually, this is so embarrassing. My guilty pleasure is two things. I will go and buy me some Panda Express, child. They just built one not too far from me, and I'm devastated. Everyone that knows me is like, you don't need to be there. You would eat there every day. Oh my God, it's such a bad guilty pleasure. I love me some Panda Express. And then I'll come in here and watch the YouTube show, the little Pop the Balloon show.
That is fantastic. I love it. That is a ruthless show.
I have smoked and done all the things. So I'm sitting here just having a great little.
It is ruthless and hysterical. I have seen snippets.
Exactly. So what not better to do? I have my guilty pleasure snack. I have my guilty pleasure show. I got my pre-rolls.
It is the best night ever.
I have me a little time. Okay.
Precious, thank you. Thank you so much. This is so much fun. Like I said, we can talk forever. We are going to continue our conversation about some other stuff. Sit back while we end. Thank you so much. And we will speak with everybody soon. Talk to you later. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of CannaDiva Conversations. Real talk and inspiring stories from women who are shaping the future of plant medicine, brought to you by the CannaDiva. Again, I'm your host, Tanya Osborne. Make sure you come back next week when our guest is Caroline Phillips, the founder of the National Cannabis Festival. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. But if you want to keep this conversation going, make sure you check out the CannaDiva Collective, our private women-only virtual space, which is where we focus on building authentic connections, where we have everything from events, accountability groups, mentorship panels, and of course, the obligatory wake and bake. Check us out in the show notes. Stay lifted, ladies, and we'll talk to you soon. See you next week.